breaking it down in layman's terms, today we're going to talk about fostering a workplace culture, a happier and healthier workplace culture with employees and management when it leads to collaboration and tools like performance reviews, improving on employee retention, employee recognition, and leadership development. Now, I've got a dynamic guest that we're going to discuss all this and more. I have Terri Etheredge. Now, Terri has a dynamic background in human relations, human resources, compliance, change management. She's had an extensive background with the Coca-Cola Company. But most recently, Terri is the co-founder and president of IntHRaction. And we're about to have an interaction with Terri. Terri, welcome in layman's terms.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug. It's a pleasure to be here. I truly appreciate you giving this platform opportunity to learn more about and share more about what we're doing at IntHRaction.
It is a platform and it's a great opportunity. In fact, I got to go over to your office over in IntHRaction and see a demo of this great collaborative platform that IntHRaction does. It runs the gamut. It's a little bit deeper than performance reviews. And I'd love for you to share, if you could, briefly, kind of the overview of this collaborative tool of IntHRaction, just a kind of high level definition, and I'll put my own little spin on it.
I love that. Yes, you bet. So we've done something a little bit different here at IntHRaction. We actually spent a very long time, years actually, going through and trying to figure out how could we reimagine what performance management looks like in organizations, because it was not working. It hasn't worked for a very long time. And so what could we do a little bit differently to help streamline processes, bring data to the organization, and enable employees and managers to be able to take data about performance and use that for career growth and progression. And we did that in an automated and real-time way.
What I like about what you said there, it's real-time data and it's automated. So you're not getting the bias. You're getting real interactions from real feedback in real time. And when we think of performance reviews, and let's just talk about the negativity. Sometimes, and more than likely, it's annual. It's a rush to get it done. May not be all that accurate. It could be biased. There's an underlying meaning why you created IntHRaction, and you've shared this off camera with me before. What made you really want to get accurate real-time data for performance reviews?
Yeah, being in HR for so long, I mean, I have such passion for people and enabling people to go to work happy and so they can go home happy. And one of the biggest challenges is the recognition for the work that people do. There isn't the ability to sometimes get that real-time data. So we use emotions a lot in decisions around people. And that does, like you mentioned, create sometimes bias and a lack of inclusion and fairness. And I really, really, truly struggled with that as an HR professional. We were always looking backwards, right? Instead of being proactive and more strategic in our profession. And the reason for that was the lack of data. And sadly, I saw too many people, the discrimination is there. And I don't think that is always intentional, but it happens. I think we see the wrong people leaving the organizations. I see people not getting the growth and development that the organization truly wants to give to them. And a lot of it just comes down to processes and some technology. I mean, two of the best bosses I ever had. I've had some great bosses, but I had two. They were very different in their leadership style. But what they both did the same was that it was a consistent amount of feedback that came to me. And it was in a really hard, kind of clunky shared drive way, but it was consistent. And we were always talking about my growth. It was about me and how I could develop and be better. And if we could provide tools to let managers have the ability to do that, then everybody wins in the organization. And that's the goal. You know, the yearly annual performance review, 95% of people dislike them. I mean, there's few things in the world that 95% of people dislike, and it shouldn't be that way. We should be better. And with IntHRaction, that's what we created it, so we could be better.
Well, just to speak to that a little bit more, the dreaded performance review, you're saying it's uncomfortable, it can be awkward. So I went over to your office, IntHRaction, and I had an interaction with the tool. And I was blown away with the standpoint that it's more than just performance reviews. It's real-time data. It's a platform. The the best way to articulate is to get a demo done, check out Terri's website and more information. But it's real-time data with employees and management giving feedback that can help foster a better workplace environment, helps with employee recognition, getting on the same page, retention, and use the word succession planning. There's so much more than just a annual performance review. Can you speak to a little bit more? I mean, you've got the different checkpoints and data. How does this real-time data really come and make its mark beyond performance reviews?
You bet. I appreciate that question because it is a lot, and we do it in a way that it's simple to get the information, right? It's unique, and it is a collaborative way for many micro feedback loops. So not the dreaded 360 that most people are used to, but something that's quick and simple for people to continually give feedback with the people that they interact with on a daily basis. Because the way we looked at it was, who knows more about the performance of an employee than the people they interact with every day? And so many times we put ownership onto just a single manager to manage a team of people. And it's really difficult to be able, you're not with them all day, every day. And so being able to capture that performance, manage, and be able to help them grow and develop, it's too difficult. So what we did is we're helping put the ownership back to all the people that you work with and changing a mindset of a hierarchy of performance and more about collaborative performance, that if we can define goals and objectives for individuals, which by the way is one of the hardest things to do. Like, people move up into management positions and now we're asking them to create goals for someone else to be successful. It's a skill. It's like it takes time to learn that. So we tried to simplify that, go ahead and pre-populate that. So it's very easy for managers to assign goals and objectives based on a role, and then to collectively get that feedback from others on how that person is being perceived to those behaviors. So sounds complex, but it's pretty easy.
It's not all that complex. Once you see the tool in action, you'll get a better understanding. And I encourage all our viewers to check that out. The part that I like about it too is it's real-time data. So if a manager or an employee leaves the company, you still have it stored. You still have feedback. So it's a growing database, and it's not something that's just swept under the rug and now we got to reinvent the wheel again. I mean, if you have good performance reviews, good, bad, or indifferent, it helps a benchmark to how to improve.
Absolutely. And when you start collecting, there's other types of data we collect. We made different features in the tool. So our recognition section of our platform is strictly based on getting feedback based on the core values of your company. So when you see others exhibiting the core values of the company, you can recognize them for that. So when you take that kind of data about the behaviors in your organization and the data and information about the behaviors on someone's goals and objectives, and there's a section where you can get information about the interactions people are having, how they're showing up, their presence. When you take all of that data together, it helps feed and foster the information you use to create succession plans. Right? So,
the succession plan is something that really piqued my interest, because when I first looked at the website, okay, I get performance reviews, but you're really setting companies up for success, for leadership development and succession plans, because you're being evaluated by your peers, not just management, but at all different levels. Can you speak to a little bit more about that? And throughout this 3-4 years that you've developed this tool, what was your biggest takeaway from the succession planning?
What I love about HR is growth and development of people. And succession planning was a process that was very stressful for me. It was stressful for the leadership team. And it was always because we started at the leadership level. We were doing succession plans at the highest level of the organization. And really, because that's all we had time for. There was so much to do to collect the information and to try to sit down and create plans for individuals. And what would happen is we would take all that information and we would put it in some kind of Google Drive. And then we would do the exact same thing the next year and the next year. And it was a check in the box process. I didn't really see that the effort that we were putting in to help people grow and develop wasn't turning into real action. So what we did in our tool is said, let's take all this information and not just have a place somebody puts it, but let's make sure that there's reactive information coming back that you can take action on to help people grow and develop, to help them set future focused goals and objectives to move into other places in the organization. That's so different than just doing it as an annual process. It's live every day, helping people, one, do well at the job that they're in, but also be learning skills and growing into other positions. And what's super special for me is it's not just for leadership. Every person in the entire organization will be able to have a succession plan for themselves. It's a readiness level, and it helps you understand what you're ready for. And so when positions come available in the organization, the system can help you determine who's performing well, who is interested in different roles in the company, and matching those together to help move people forward.
It's all about that action with InterHRaction, having those plans in place. I love that. And there's one of the tools that when I got to see the demo was you use the phrase inspirations, and that could go from your peers, different levels of management. Talk a little bit about inspirations for feedback.
So the inspiration tool, again, kind of goes around the culture. So what we do is we let the organization put their goals around culture into our tools. So any of the core values that they have in the company and the behaviors of those core values are listed in InterHRaction, and then employees once a week can select one person to give an inspiration to. And it's super exciting to see individuals using the tool call me up and say, hey, Terri, like I was having a really rough day today. And I went back and I looked at all the inspirations that I received, and it felt really great to remind myself that other people do appreciate and value me for the hard work that I'm doing. And so it's meant to be super positive and give you recognition for living out the core values separately from performing your goals and objectives.
And it's real-time data, and it's ease of use. Speaking of that, so we've talked a lot about different interactions, performance reviews, different times of doing it. From an employee perspective, or a user of the tool, better yet, from a user perspective, how complicated, how complex is it? Am I getting inundated with emails every day to put in data? Put me at ease here for a second. I know the answer to that, but share it with our audience a little bit.
The average employee spends about 15 minutes a week giving feedback to other people. So these automated surveys that we have, they come with all the information that basically will tell you, hey, you just had an interaction with Doug. What was his presence like? And it gives you options. It's a single click survey, quick and easy. Once you've had so many interactions with Doug, then it's going to send you one of his goals and objectives that says, hey, here's his goal of setting direction. Here's what it means, and here's the behaviors he should exhibit. Do you see these behaviors? And you again, select which options there are. It's all single click, but it's the accumulation of that happening with all the people that you interact with that gives you the personalized data that you need to really grow and develop, because different people perceive you different ways. It's even if it's not a positive experience, it may only be a small tweak that you need to do to understand that, right? So the collection of the data from everyone gives you opportunity to truly understand what you could work on to perform at your highest level.
I love that. Ease of use, unbiased. You're getting a perspective. It's ease of use, so it's not putting a burden on your staff or employees. But the data that you're getting, well, can lead to leadership development, can lead to better workplace, healthier work environment. I mean, there's a lot going on. Now, when you think about the workplace environment, we came out of COVID or in or out or whatever the case is last couple of years. A lot of people are working from home or back in the office. It's hard out there. So tools like InterHRaction helping foster a better workplace culture and climate. I mean, there's a lot of merits to this, and I know it speaks to your background in human resources, human relations, even compliance for that matter. What are some of the biggest takeaways you've gotten from creating this tool over the last couple of years? What has there been an aha moment over the last year or so that you developed new tools or new interactions on it?
Definitely. Like, I love the feedback we get from our clients, because some of the features that we have added to the tool came from experiences of the users. We've added a project management tool just from experiences of people saying, hey, a lot of times I'm on a lot of projects outside of my normal job. I have project work that I do, and there really wasn't a way to get exposure to what that data and that experience was and that performance. So we added that project management tool, not so much to manage the project, which you can, but it was more about creating milestones and a team environment where the team members can give feedback to each other to understand the performance of the team as a whole and individually. So that came from customer interaction. But also just enhancing some of the experiences that we've had. We've added experience surveys that we add. So, for example, sometimes companies will do an annual survey to get feedback on the communication within the organization or some of the just understandings that they would like to get from the collection of people that work there, and they do it annually. Well, what we decided to do, because people said we would like that in more real time, we made those surveys personalized so you get the same information, but you can do it frequently, again, because it's not so cumbersome. And that was, again, another feature that came from a client request. So yeah, our tool is very agile, and we're building it for people. Like, I built this for me. I built this for you. You know, my partner and I, we didn't just come in and say, hey, let's just build something around performance management, right? We said, how do we truly help people, and not just some people, all people in an organization feel better about the performance that they provide? Because I truly believe every person wants to add value. They want to show up every day at work to add value, and they want to be valued for the work that they bring. So if I come in and I'm adding value and you recognize me for that and you show appreciation for that value, I'm going to be a happier employee. And that's our goal.
I love that. I mean, 100%, but actually getting the feedback from people that are using the tool and building on that. So it's a 100% people generated. You're evaluating what you have. Speaking of people generated and tools, if you go over to your website, your YouTube channel, you've done some collaborative. I'm a video guy. You've done some collaborative videos of Dan Jordan. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's a great resource on HR, human relations, and what's going on in business world today. Can you speak to the project you've done with Dan?
Yes, Dan Jordan is absolutely amazing. And we're starting to do some quick video snippets of some learnings and understandings, because we're dealing with people, right? And you get those same feelings and emotions and feedback from people about, hey, I've had this really terrible experience. And so we thought if we could give people a place to go to kind of listen to something others have shared, and maybe that is something, advice or ideas that they could take away, we thought that would be a great resource for individuals. So we're just trying to give value back from the years of experience in HR.
Oh, I love the concept of the short video clips that the two of you do. I'm a video research guy. I watch the videos. And then, speaking of videos, if you go to IntHRaction, go over to their website, check out some of the pictures, the demos, and request a demo. And it's a little bit, and again, what I walked away with when I was at IntHRaction doing the demo, it's just beyond performance reviews, because I'm just took some notes here. When I think of a performance review, it's like, again, and we hopefully we spell the myths out there that we have a tool, IntHRaction, you have a tool out there that's going to give you accurate information, non-biased, but people are usually think it's awkward. Performance reviews, they're limited, their timing, it's at the end of the year. You've created a platform that's collaborative that can help all those hindrances when it comes to performance reviews. And it speaks volumes to what you and JD are doing.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a journey that definitely came from the heart. I mean, I truly, when I say it, I've experienced it. I've felt it through other people. I mean, I have yet to speak to an individual who's ever gotten a performance review that didn't have a story that was about how terrible the experience was. Everyone has a story about how they were treated unfairly or felt they were treated unfairly, or the whole process. I've had people tell me I've left because I got a bad performance review. And the truth is, no one intentionally does that. I mean, I truly in my heart believe that if we could, one of the hardest things, again, is to set the goals and objectives. That's the hard part. Right?
Sure.
What's the strategy of the company? It starts to get really complex for people, and they get nervous and they're unsure. And so, you know what we do? We do nothing. And we wait because we know we have to do it at the end of the year. And so we just kind of pull all that together. And the experience for the individual is very negative, but it's also very negative for the person that's giving it to this individual. So another piece of great feedback for me, and that's come to the company, was like, I love this process. Like, I don't feel like I'm in this alone. The person's actually taking accountability for their own career because they get their own data, right? And so when we have one-on-one sessions, we're actually using the data that's been collected to help me be better. And I'm driving that and I'm participating. And that's the switch. This is definitely a mindset change for companies to say, hey, all the burden doesn't have to be on your leadership team. We can use the people that work here to help themselves. So that's, again, why I love for you to be doing what you're doing and sharing some of the innovative technologies that are out there, because there is new things going on that will truly help people and organizations with their bottom line. It's the ROI. We say the return on individuals. This is where we want to drive people. Instead of just operationally, let's really focus on people.
It's nice to hear all this because it's not just checking a box, performance review done at the end of the year. The end game is simple. I like to put it in layman's terms. Have a more productive, happier, and healthier workplace environment. Yes. And how do you do that? With leadership development. Well, one key component of that is performance reviews. But you got to have communication, got to have interaction. Everybody has to be on the same page. That's what, I see the end game here. And I see a great collaborative tool that you and JD have created and you're putting out there. And it works both on management as well as employees. When it comes to employee recognition, retention, it's hard out there for companies to keep employees happy. Yes. People are jumping ship. But if you're not communicating, you don't have the real-time data, you're setting yourself up for failure.
100%. And one of the things I'm finding with the organizations that we partner with is the trust. Like, that's most critical. Like, when I come to work for your organization, I'm kind of just trusting that you are who you say you are. You have the right culture. You're going to compensate me the way you said you would. And you trust me initially. You say, okay, you said you came with these skills and abilities and you're going to work really hard. And so we come into a trusting relationship. But it starts to fall apart and both sides. Sometimes the person's not getting the feedback they need, so they're feeling undervalued and they perform at a different level. So there's a lot of reasons why trust starts to erode on both sides. So if we could just kind of start from the beginning, we already started with trust when you came to work here. So Sure. Let's do the things we said we would do and help you grow and develop here. And you continue to provide the value that you have within you, the reason we hired you, right?
And when it comes even deeper with trust, obviously you set the ground running with trust when you hired somebody. But if there isn't trust, you at least have it documented to back it up, because we can talk about the compliance side. You put on your compliance hat for a second here. Your real-time information, you're documenting an unbiased platform. I mean, that's a great benefit as well, because if you come to these situations where somebody's mistreated or mishired, or maybe they need to be in another position, or maybe it just didn't work out, you at least have it documented.
You do, in an easy way, because people, managers, they're super busy. Like, my heart goes out to them because you're doing a lot. And it isn't always easy to sit down and write and document things for people. I mean, we try to focus definitely on the positive, the growth and development. But you are correct. When you are documenting that, when there's opportunity, like, you catch the opportunity early on. Not 6 months down the road or 1 year down the road where it's starting to be kind of detrimental. You catch it in the beginning, and the goal is to course correct, to be agile, to be quick, to say, hey, maybe it is a wrong fit for the job. Maybe it is that you don't have the right skills for this, but we have the time to help you grow and develop those. What you end up, anytime you have data, you just get to make better decisions. And if it's in real time, you make those better decisions faster, which benefits everybody in the company. So again, we're not used to having the data. And so therefore, we're not used to knowing what to do with the data. But and again, there's also a fear. And I would like to kind of talk about this for a second.
Sure.
When it comes to people, it's awkward, right? Because there's so many things. We're all very different. We think different. We look different. We act different. And so that makes people uncomfortable. And so conversations, when you're talking about someone's skills or their performance, it's not easy to have those conversations. So the mindset of, let's not just ask John if he thinks Doug is good at his job, which is what we do today. Let's give Doug some information about goals that he could work on based on behaviors he needs to have. And then let's ask John if he sees those behaviors. And the feedback that comes in is like, hey, it's so much easier for me to say, I really like you, Doug, a lot, but I do not see you doing these 8 things, right? These 3 things. So that's an easier, it's not so emotional. And that kind of changes the ability for people to feel better about giving feedback, because feedback is hard when the person isn't self-aware. Because if I say, hey, I need to give you some feedback, and I tell you something that you don't believe about yourself, you're not really willing to accept that. But if collectively people are saying, hey, you're supposed to do these things, and I'm not seeing you do those things, in numbers, you'll start to see, hey, no one I'm interacting with is seeing me do these things. That might be something that I could work on. And again,
No,
that doesn't feel so bad.
it doesn't feel so bad because it's kind of more of a group interaction. It validates
Yeah.
a behavior that you may not be aware of.
Right.
And I like that standpoint as opposed to a one-to-one review. It gives you more concise look at things. But the takeaway I get from IntHRaction, from your website and seeing the demos, I look at leadership and development, fostering a better workplace culture, diagnosing situations, taking tools like performance reviews and not looking at them like we have in the past as an annual checklist. Here's the matrix for at the end of the year, let's just get it done. Awkwardness. You're taking it beyond that. You're making it people first. And that's the biggest takeaway that I've got. During the last couple of years with IntHRaction, is there any new developments or anything that you would like to share with us, or anything that you've learned since you've interacted with the tool that you've created?
Yeah, lots of learnings. Again, the data, I wasn't used to having the data either. That was one of the first things we talked about. How do we get data? Because data is what's going to actually make a difference. This is the future, right? You know, the younger generations, they love to like things and click on things, but they like the real-time data too. So I wasn't even used to having the data myself. A story I've just told recently really touched me to truly show the value of what the tool brings. So we had a leader who had individuals on his team, and you get a score, right? You kind of average out the scores, but you're able to see the scores in depth to see who's giving the feedback. The manager I'm speaking of now, employees see that they got feedback, but they don't see who it comes from. It's anonymous. But the manager in HR can see who it comes from and the comments that they make. So a manager had a specific employee. So overall, collectively, his score was high. And when you broke it down and started looking into it, the manager rated the employee high meets. The peers of the individual rated him an exceeds. His internal customers rated him a low meets. So you've got three totally different stories.
You're right.
The manager sees you one way, your peers see you one way, and your internal customers see you a different way. So what we were able to do was meet with those that rated him an exceeds to see what it was he was doing that was so amazing for them, and then met with those that he was underperforming to. And interestingly, what was happening is he was spending so much time helping his peers. They were new and needed extra help. That was taking him away from doing the core of his job, which was the deliverables that were meant to go to his internal customers. So being able, if you just looked at it as a whole, if this is a traditional way, the manager says, oh, I think he's awesome. He talks to some of their peers and they're like, oh, yes, we think he's awesome too. And this is the person who gets promoted, right? Or moves into other positions, where the people that he is supporting is like, he's terrible. And how is this happening? And it's unfair again. So what we did is we took that data and we went back to them and said, okay, what could he do to help change the thoughts and behaviors that you have for him? And we worked that out. And so then what happened was they learned, hey, we need to do a little more training over here to the peers so that he can get back focused on his internal customers. So the depth of the data is what's important. Not just getting feedback and getting a score and pulling it all together. What I've learned and what the true value I see is how you get to personalize it for the individual, but also personalize it down to the teams of people that you're getting the feedback from.
You know, I love that, being able to unpack the depth of data into more layers of information. And again, it leads to better performance.
Yes. Yes.
This,
He was
this
thrilled. He was disappointed in himself that he was underperforming to some. And so he was like, oh my gosh, how do I fix this quickly? Right. That was genuinely, you saw a quick return, like immediately. I mean, I could give you a million examples so far, but seeing people change their styles, having things to work on to improve their performance. And sometimes one of the best things, what I love is people who are performing high, we know who those people are. We use them as mentors. We know who internally we can utilize to help other people grow and develop. We don't always have to hire a consultant externally, though we can, and we can use that in the tool as well. It's just nice to know that we are truly collecting people data and taking that to impact our bottom line.
I never thought of that when you just said the word mentor with that. With the data that you're getting, the data builds itself.
Yes.
And the data can lead to more paths of success or ways to guide a workplace environment. If you've got people that are commenting and are interacting, that they may have more leadership and mentorship ability than they're even aware of, and it's documented. Yes. There's so many layers to unpack. And again, as I encourage everybody to check out IntHRaction, go over to the website, watch some of the video content. Terri, is there anything else, any parting shots or anything else that you'd like to ask me, or anything else that you would like to, that we didn't cover today that you'd like to address?
Well, one, again, I can't say it enough. I'm so thankful. Like, you articulate the tool so well.
Thank you.
And that touches my heart, because the goal was to give back, to create something that mattered. And how do you, like, I want people to go to work happy, and I want them to go home happy. And that impacts the world. So it isn't just a tool. It isn't just a means to get feedback or information. It's truly meant to positively impact people. And I hope that's the experience. That's what we're finding so far, in a way that people enjoy.
Well, it's apparent in your passion for what IntHRaction does. You go over to the website. I got to see a demo firsthand, and hey, let's face it, it's hard out there in an employee workplace right now. Employees are jumping ship. People are looking for work. You've got to foster a better, healthier, happy workplace culture. And you got to document that with real-time data, this collaborative. And I can't think of a better tool than IntHRaction, all about that action with IntHRaction. Terri, thank you so much for coming on Layman's Terms. I encourage our viewers out there to check out IntHRaction, all the fine work they're doing, and definitely make an impact in your workplace environment. Terri, thanks for coming on.
Doug, thank you so much. I've enjoyed it. We would love to show it to people and have them try it out. Just give us a call, because again, this is something we truly, truly want to get out there to everybody.
And there it is. Terri, all about that action at IntHRaction.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.